Bollywood showed you a dangerous gangster, but Karachi remembers something far darker. This is not a movie script. This is not a hero's journey. This is the story of a man born in the narrow lanes of Lyari, who rose from a troubled childhood to become one of Pakistan's most feared names. They called him Sardar Abdul Rehman Baloch. The world knows him as Rehman Dakait. To some, he was a protector. To others, a ruthless criminal. To the state, he was a problem that could not be solved by law alone. In Bollywood, he is a character played by Akshay Khanna in Dhurandhar, a stylish villain in a high-stakes thriller. But the real Rehman's story is soaked in blood, betrayal, politics, and the silent desperation of a neighborhood abandoned by the system. In this video, we go deep into the real life of Rehman Dakait, from his birth in Lyari to the crimes that made him a legend of fear, the politics that protected him, and the police encounter that finally ended his reign. This isn't just the story of one man. It's the story of what happens when crime, politics, and survival become the same thing. Welcome to the reality behind Dhurandhar's most terrifying character. Bollywood made him a villain. Karachi knew a monster. The real story of Rehman Dakait. Rehman Dakait was born around 1980 in the densely populated, underdeveloped neighborhood of Lyari, Karachi, situated in Sindh province, Pakistan. This area, one of the oldest in the city, has long grappled with poverty, unemployment, and a culture where informal power structures often eclipsed lawful governance. His birth name was Sardar Abdul Rehman Baloch, and he was the son of Daad Muhammad, Dadal, and Khadija Bibi. His father and paternal uncle, Sheru, had a history in petty crime and drug smuggling, having been involved in hashish distribution since the mid-1960s. This familial environment planted the seeds of Rehman's criminal trajectory long before he reached adulthood. Lyari itself was a place where ethnic groups such as Baloch, Kuchi Gujaratis, Sindhis, and Urdu-speaking migrants coexisted, yet endured chronic systemic neglect by state authorities. In such an environment, criminal networks filled power vacuums that law enforcement either failed to control or, at times, tacitly tolerated. From a young age, Rehman was exposed to drugs and petty crime. Reports suggest that by the age of 13, he had already committed his first serious violent act, stabbing a man, establishing an early reputation for violence that would only grow more intense over time. The most infamous and disturbing allegation from his early life is the murder of his own mother, Khadija Bibi. According to multiple reports, this occurred in 1995, when Rehman was still a teenager. He allegedly strangled her and then hanged her body from a ceiling fan. This incident became ingrained in public memory as a symbol of his emerging ruthlessness, though exact motives and context remain partly derived from anecdotal and media accounts rather than judicial records. These early crimes marked Rehman's transition from petty local delinquent to a figure feared throughout Lyari's streets. During the 1980s and 1990s, Lyari's underworld was fragmented among various gang leaders. Illegal arms influx, partly a byproduct of regional conflicts, exacerbated violent rivalries. Among these crime figures were Haji Alek, Haji Lalu, and Iqbal Babu Dakait, who wielded considerable influence through extortion, drug trade, and territorial control. Rehman entered this milieu with a growing reputation for violence. He joined the gang of Haji Lalu and quickly demonstrated a willingness to commit brutal acts. After Haji Lalu's arrest in the early 2000s, Rehman and his allies capitalized on the power vacuum. They engaged in bloody turf wars with rival factions, particularly with the supporters of Arshad Papu, leading to a sprawling series of clashes that fractured life in Lyari for years. By the mid-2000s, Rehman had consolidated power and taken on a dual role as a gang leader and increasingly political actor. Around 2008, he introduced himself publicly as Sardar Abdul Rehman Baloch, positioning himself as both a strongman and a community authority. He established the Peoples Aman Committee, PAC, an organization that claimed to aim at ending the long-standing gang wars and bringing peace. but in practice became a vehicle for extending his control over territory, resources, and followers. The PAC's connection to mainstream politics was notable. Rehman aligned with the Pakistan People's Party, PPP, one of the country's leading political parties. And although the PPP officially denied any formal linkage, Rehman's growing influence in Lyari secured him political patronage that helped insulate him from law enforcement pressure for a period. Under Rehman's leadership, his organization engaged in a wide range of criminal activities. These included drug trafficking, extortion, kidnapping for ransom, illegal arms distribution, and widespread violence against rival groups and perceived enemies. Law enforcement accused him of involvement in upwards of 80 criminal cases, spanning from murder to large-scale criminal operations. Lyari, once noted for football culture and community cohesion, became a kingdom of fear as gang activities intensified. Blockades, forced recruitment of youth into armed factions, and public spectacles of intimidation were part of the district's descent into continuous conflict. Motivations behind Rehman's actions were multifaceted and often contested. Local narratives sometimes painted him as a Robin Hood-like figure, particularly among economically marginalized residents who saw him as someone who provided protection and economic opportunities that the state failed to deliver. Reports suggest that thousands attended his funeral, indicating lingering support or respect among segments of Lyari's population. At the same time, his reign was undeniably terrorizing. Stories, some amplified by media and some part of underworld legend, circulated about extreme acts such as playing with severed heads as a demonstration of power and fear, particularly under successors linked to his gang. Though such imagery is subject to sensationalization, it reflects the broader climate of fear that his organization fostered. Rehman's rise was intertwined with deep socio-political issues in Lyari: chronic neglect, lack of economic opportunities, fractured law enforcement, and the blurring of lines between politics and organized crime. The end of Rehman Dakait's life came on 9th of August, 2009 in Steel Town, Karachi, during a police operation led by Senior Superintendent of Police, SSP Chaudhry Aslam. Official accounts state that Rehman and several of his associates were intercepted late at night. A violent shootout ensued, during which Rehman and his companions were gravely wounded and later died while being transported to the hospital. However, this event was also shrouded in controversy. Some observers and community members alleged that it was a fake encounter, an extrajudicial killing rather than a legitimate firefight, a claim that remains part of Lyari's contested narratives about justice and state power. Following his death, the leadership of the Peoples Aman Committee and wider gang network passed to his cousin Uzair Baloch, who intensified the organization's reach and engaged in increasingly violent confrontations with rival factions. Under Uzair, gang activities intersected with broader political and national security controversies, including allegations of connections to espionage and profound criminal networks. Lyari continued to suffer from gang wars and later underwent state interventions such as Operation Lyari in 2013, conducted by Pakistan's Rangers and police to quell decades of unrest and crime. Though these operations brought temporary relief, the legacy of gang violence persisted in social memory and structural challenges. Rehman Dakait's legacy is deeply contested. To many, he was nothing short of a violent crime lord whose brutality and criminal empire inflicted suffering on Lyari's people for years. To others, Rehman was a product of systemic neglect, a man who filled a governance vacuum in a place the state had abandoned, wielding power that was at once protective for some and terrorizing for others. His life remains a stark illustration of how criminality, politics, and social disenfranchisement can intertwine, leading to a reign of organized crime that leaves lasting scars on neighborhoods like Lyari. His death did not end the issues that bore him. Rather, it marked a transition into a new chapter of conflict, state action, and uneasy calm. The cinematic portrayal of Rehman Dakait in Dhurandhar captures the essence of a feared antagonist, but inevitably simplifies his life into dramatic beats suitable for film. The real story, however, reveals a figure shaped by socio-economic adversity, familial criminal roots, volatile gang wars, political entanglements, and a legacy that is as much about community despair as it is about brutal violence. Rehman lived and died at the intersection of crime and politics in one of South Asia's most turbulent urban landscapes, leaving behind a complex portrait of power, fear, and human consequence that continues to echo in the streets of Lyari. In the end, Rehman Dakait didn't die in a court of law. He died in a hail of bullets, on a dark Karachi road, in a police encounter that some call justice, and others still call murder. After his death, another name rose from the same streets, Uzair Baloch. The gangs kept fighting. The bullets did not stop overnight. Lyari has changed since those days, but the memory of that era hasn't faded. There are people who still whisper his name with fear, and there are others who remember him as a strange kind of protector in a world where the official system failed them again and again. Bollywood turned Rehman into a gripping character, intense, stylish, almost theatrical. But the real Rehman wasn't cinematic. He was messy. He was brutal. He was a symptom of a deeper disease, a city divided, a neighborhood ignored, and a system that allowed crime to become power. The question isn't just who Rehman Dakait was. The real question is, how many more Rehmans are being created today in places the world doesn't bother to look at? If you watched this far, you didn't just watch a crime story. You watched a mirror held up to a broken system. Thank you for staying till the end. If you want more real stories behind the real gangsters, hit subscribe, share this video, and tell me in the comments, should we uncover the truth behind the next so-called villain?